Hello everyone, this is Amber with Staying Crafty. Today I'll be making a card using some My Mind's Eye Lime Twist Happy-Go-Lucky paper from the 6x6 pad. I've got this great green pattern that reminded me of fabric, and I'm cutting it to 4 by 5¼ inches. It will layer on top of a standard A2 sized card front. So I'm just going to put my adhesive just a little bit in the very middle because I'm going to be sewing this on and I don't want any adhesive where I'm going to sew so that I don't hurt my sewing machine. So you can't see real well. I didn't want to have to try to move my camera behind me. But while I'm sewing this, I just like to tell you, if you don't want to use a sewing machine or you don't have one, you can use a paper piercer and stitch through that. There's a product called Sew Easy. I believe it's by We Are Memory Keepers that'll pierce holes for you in a pattern to sew through. And there are also several companies that have stamps that look like stitching, including a stamp set that I'm actually going to be working with today. So you don't have to use a sewing machine to get a very similar looking card. After I'm done sewing this, any threads that are sticking out of the front of the card, all I did was just push them through one of the stitch holes to the back of the card so that all of my threads are on the back. And you can see them laid across there. And I'm just going to use my adhesive to stick them down. So just made a line of adhesive, and then I'm going to stick them over the top of that. You could also use Scotch tape for this if you wanted to, but I figured this is going to be sandwiched in between another layer and that this would be plenty secure. So I'm just going to snip off the excess with my scissors, and then I'm just going to put my adhesive all over the back. I went ahead and made sure and covered all of the stitching lines. I figured that would just give it a little bit of extra stability and security that nothing would come unraveled later. And just a little bit in the center. Really, the adhesive I use is very strong, so I don't need to go too crazy with it. So then I'm just sticking this over the top of my card front. I actually didn't get it on perfectly straight, but the adhesive is so strong I didn't want to try to remove it. So I've got this cute dress form from the Forever Young Cricut cartridge cut out at 4 inches. The pattern paper is from the same collection pack, and I was inspired to use the polka dots on the dress form by this stamp set from My Little Shoebox called So Cute. The dress form in there just wasn't big enough, so I die cut one. Here I'm just using some pop dots all over the back of my dress form and sticking it to my card. Now I am going to go ahead and use a stamp from that My Little Shoebox set I just showed you. I'm stamping it with some Memento ink in a rich cocoa color. I wasn't happy with the way this first image turned out, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp it again. Always willing to do things over if I think I'll get a better image. And I am much happier with the second impression, so I decided to go ahead and stick with that one. So now I'm just going to test some different colors of pink to see which one I want to use. And I find this especially important when I'm coloring on a slightly colored piece of paper. And I had decided to use kind of a cream color to color on as opposed to a really bright white. So it does kind of slightly alter the pinks a little, and so it's extra important for me to make sure I liked the one I was going to use. And I'm just using some Stampin' Up! Markers here. Use whatever you have. Most of the colors I have, they don't even make anymore, so I'm not going to bother to list which ones I used because you can't just go out and buy them. So down on this lower one, I thought I'd try something. I said, oh, maybe the little top of the pincushion could be a darker pink. I gave it a try and I hated it. So I went and got a couple different colors of green. One of them was really, really bright. So I went with the more subtle one and decided to use that up there. Really simple to do. And I'm also testing a liquid pearl color, which you'll see me use shortly, but I just wanted to test that while I was busy testing colors. Now I'm just cutting it out, and it does take some patience to cut an image like this. Took me a while, but I'm not going to show you the whole process. Just using some Tombow Mono multi-glue. That's what I'm going to adhere this down with. Just going to kind of put it at a little bit of an angle opposite of the dress form. Now I've got those Ranger liquid pearls in petal pink, And I thought these would be so cute on top of the little stick pins in the pin cushion, because usually they have kind of a pearly beaded looking top anyway, and that's the effect that this liquid pearls gives. So I thought that would be a lot of fun and decided to use it there. Got a stamp set by Hero Arts called So Stylish, and the stamp I'm using out of it actually says So Stylish. Wanted it for my sentiment. So I'm stamping it onto that same cream cardstock, and I'm using the same Memento ink also. Just was already on my desk and matched what I was using, so decided to stick with that. So now I'm taking that piece I stamped to my paper trimmer, and I'm going to cut it out. I'm ultimately going to be turning it into a little banner, but I had to start making it a strip of paper. Sorry this is blurry. I'm using my scissors to cut the little flag shape in the side. Then I'm kind of folding it in half without creasing the middle, but just so that I could use that as a template to cut the other side in an attempt to get them, somewhat symmetrical. So I can see the notches on the other side, and that helped me start cutting. I just used it as a guideline. Once again, I'm really sorry it's blurry. I'd like to get a high-def camera so that when I zoom in later like this, the quality isn't compromised. So then all I did was use one of the markers I already had on my desk to help me do some curling to the banner. You can use a pencil or just anything you have laying around. Here I have some little mini clothespins, and I put one on and decided I wanted the more symmetrical effect of having two. And they're real little clothespins, so they just clip right on. I happen to find these at a local scrapbooking store, but I'm sure you could order them from a variety of places. Really cute look, huh? So I decided to use 2 layers of pop dots, mainly because the clothespins were thick enough that they kind of needed that. So I just put that right in the center. And then for extra security, because I didn't want these clothespins coming off or shifting later, I added some glue to the back of them. So then all there is left to do is stick this onto my card. And the Tombow Mono multi-glue did seem to stick the clothespins pretty well so far as I can tell. So I was pretty happy with the results of that. Here's my finished card. Thank you so very much for watching. Hope you like it, and I hope you have a wonderful and very crafty day.